I'm Representative Jill Jordan, and this is Jordan's Journal. Today I have as my guest Chief Justice Recktenwald.
Thank you.
And Representative Della Belatti from Makiki. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes. Aloha, Chief Justice.
Aloha, Representative Jordan. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming. I really appreciate both of you coming. Just to give a little bit of background, we're going to be holding a community meeting on December the 11th in Waianae at the Waianae District Park, starting at 6 p.m.?
Yes.
Correct. And it will be focused on access to Justice Commission. So, Chief Justice, could you kind of speak a little bit about the Justice Commission?
Yeah, I mean, I think access to justice is one of the most important issues that we face in the judiciary. Our judicial system exists to provide equal justice for all, but if people can't get the assistance they need to be able to participate meaningfully in the civil justice system, it really undercuts that ideal and that mission for the judiciary. So, and that can really have very, very significant impacts. When people come before our civil courts, sometimes they have the most significant matters that anyone could have in their lives come up. Whether they're going to have custody of their child, whether they're going to be able to stay in their home, whether they'll have access to health care. And if they don't have an attorney who can represent them or don't understand how to represent themselves in the system, then you can have a situation where their voice isn't heard. And that ultimately undercuts the credibility and the integrity that's at the basis of our justice system. So it's a very, very important issue. We're really excited to have this opportunity to go out to the community in Waianae and talk to folks about the work that we've been doing with our Access to Justice Commission, the steps we've been taking to try to provide greater support and greater means for people to be able to navigate the judicial system when they have a civil case.
Wow. Representative Belatti, how did you get involved with this?
Well, I've been appointed to serve on the Access to Justice Commission as a representative. The Speaker of the House appointed me. I enjoy the work on the Commission because it brings together folks from the judiciary, from the legislative branch, from the executive agencies, all the agencies that sort of touch on the issue of access to justice. So I've been lucky to serve on the Commission for just a year and help assist with some of the important work. The task force, the commission, is actually one that's commissioned by the judiciary. So that's something that's a little unique about the commission.
Wow. The Supreme Court established this Access to Justice Committee?
It did. What happened is back in 2007, people in the community came together to study this challenge that I've mentioned to you about people not being able to afford an attorney in their civil cases. And it did a very comprehensive study. It concluded that only about 1 in 5 low or moderate income Hawaii residents are able to have their civil legal needs met in terms of getting assistance from an attorney. Legal services providers like the Legal Aid Society of Hawaii or others were found to be only able to help about 1 in 3 of the people who reached out to contact them. And so this group, which was called the Access to Justice Hui, issued a report which came to the judiciary. It made a number of recommendations, but probably the biggest one was the thought that we needed to have a real sustained focus on this issue. In other words, it wasn't something that we would just look at and then move on to other things. It was something we were really going to focus on in a sustained way going forward. And so what the recommendation was, and what the Hawaii Supreme Court did, is to create the Access to Justice Commission. So it'll be an entity that has as its mission increasing access to our civil legal system. There's about 22 members on the commission. Okay. Representative Belatti has done an outstanding job. We have Senator He. We have representatives from the different legal services providers, judges, other representatives of other groups in our community, and the bar. So really a very diverse group of people under the leadership of our current chair is Judge Dan Foley, and before that Justice Simeon Akoba. So it's a really great group of people, very, very enthusiastic, and that's provided the sort of sustained focus, sustained leadership that I think we so badly needed, and it's really been able to achieve great things.
Wow. So they only focus on one particular aspect of law, the civil portion
right,
of it?
It's not focused on, so the sort of approach and the rules that relate to criminal cases, that's really, dictated by the Constitution in terms of there being a constitutional right to counsel. And there are a handful of civil cases where There's a right to an attorney, such as cases in which a parent might be the state might be trying to take away custody of a child from a parent in terms of terminating that parent's parental rights. A very significant case, and there's a right to counsel. But for the vast majority of civil cases, landlord-tenant disputes, disputes between neighbors, business disputes, people who want to get divorced, there's not a constitutional right to counsel. So this commission is really focused on the challenges in the civil legal system of people who are coming into the system, whether they want to bring a case, they're defendants in a case. How are we going to meet the needs of being able to provide them either with an attorney or enough information about the system so they're able to navigate it themselves? So that's the real focus of the commission.
Oh, okay, okay. This is something that started recently?
Well, I'd say, again, the big impetus was back in 2007.
Okay.
The commission was formed in 2008, so it's been with us now for about 4 years, and it's just achieved, some remarkable things during its tenure. It's advocated for changes in the rules that govern the practice of law to try to reduce or eliminate some of what might have been barriers to attorneys who want to volunteer their time. In terms of providing guidelines for attorneys who want to serve, for example, in a clinic where they're giving advice on a very short-term limited basis to someone who's coming in. What are the ethical obligations that apply in that situation? So try to clarify that. So really what I think that whole emphasis is, again, opening up the avenues for attorneys in our community who really wanted to help and want to help, but need to know that when they do so, they're not going to get into some kind of an ethical problem with a conflict of interest, that want to know that they're taking on cases that they can do a good job if they help somebody in a case. It might not be an area of law where they always practice, like a business lawyer or somebody who does civil litigation, tort cases, car accident cases. The need might be in a landlord-tenant case. Can they come in and handle that kind of case? So a critical piece of the puzzle is being sure that those attorneys have the training they need, and that we provide them with the insights they need to be able to go in and practice law in that particular area when they're just helping at one of our clinics. So a lot of the work that's gone on has really been aimed at doing increasing what we call pro bono service. That's where attorneys volunteer their time. And like I said, we have attorneys here who are very, very civic-minded. Over the last 5 years, attorneys in Hawaii have volunteered more than 1 million hours of their time. So an incredible amount of commitment. And really what the commission's done is really provided focus, encouragement to those attorneys, try to reduce or eliminate any barriers that might have been up to that would slow people down from getting involved, and then put out the call. We need attorneys in Hawaii to step up and help folks who can't afford an attorney, and they've answered the call.
So if I was just an average citizen that doesn't have a lot of connection to the outside world, how do we access this?
Yeah, well, there's a number of different ways, and there are a couple things. One, of course, we have legal services providers in Hawaii, and I know that Representative Belatti is going to share later in the show details about some of them, but some, like the Legal Aid Society of Hawaii. That's Volunteer Legal Services Hawaii is another. There are a number of entities that are there, some of which are aimed towards particular areas of the law or particular issues, elder law issues. That a particular organization might be aimed towards, but the Legal Aid Society and Volunteer Legal Services take on a very wide range of cases. So contacting one of those organizations is always a really great place to start. The other thing we've done that I think has been very, very positive is, the reality is a lot of folks will just come to our courthouse and they know they want to bring a case, something's happened, they want to get some kind of action taken on that matter, or they've been served with papers to come in and have to respond. And so the need is often just to have someone at the courthouse who can provide them with some guidance about what's going to happen. And that's been an area where we've made incredible gains recently by opening up what we've called self-help centers or access to justice rooms in our courts around the state. And we just 2 years ago, it was just an idea that we'd had, that we talked about actually here at a room at the state capitol. We had a meeting of about 20 people got together and talked about this, and we've gone from literally not having it operating to, in the first year we opened one in Kauai, Since then, we've opened in Hilo, we've opened in Wailuku, we've opened in our family courthouse in Kapolei, downtown Honolulu at our Honolulu District Court. So we have rooms operating in each of those facilities. Right now, they're on a limited number of hours, so you know, we're trying to get them up and running and basically doing it to sort of test out the concept, but so far the results have been great. So if someone comes into our Honolulu District Court, goes to the service desk there, they can be referred to the Access to Justice room and be able to have an opportunity to talk to an attorney when those attorneys are staffing the room. So that's another way. And then if someone has a family court issue, we similarly have a room out at our Kapolei District Family Court. So those are two places in our courthouses right now where we have people on the ground ready to provide information about the system. So really it's going to be you know, relatively limited advice, but enough to orient somebody to what's expected of them, what do they have to do to present their side of the story, and provide them with just a general at least orientation to what they're going to have to do to be able to present a case.
So it's my understanding you'll be joining myself and Representative Belatti on December the 11th.
Yeah, we're really excited because I think, you know, I think it's important to go to the community and talk about the work that we're doing. I think so that people understand what resources are there, have an opportunity to ask questions. You know, how does this relate to me? Sometimes, you know, we get great ideas whenever we go talk to folks. You know, have you thought about this, or don't you realize here's where the need really is? You know, if you could do this provide this other service, maybe that would be, you know, something that would help. So it's a great opportunity both for us to share information with the community and also to get the community's thoughts. So yeah, we're really, really excited.
Okay. Well, I look forward to you joining us on December the 11th, and thank you for joining me and Representative Belatti today.
Absolutely. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. We're really, really, as I said, we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, so we look forward to seeing you at Waianae District Park on December the 11th.
We'll be there. Aloha.
Thank you for joining us
today.
You.
Aloha.
Aloha. Aloha, welcome back to Jordan's Journal. I'm still here with Representative Belatti, and we're going to continue on our conversation for our upcoming Access to Justice Commission Leeward Community Briefing, which is going to be held on December 11th, which is a Tuesday. That's correct. From 6 to 8 p.m. at the Waianae District Park. Again, I want to thank you for coming out with Chief Justice Recktenwald. I think it's been really great. What's kind of happen at this event, just so we can give the flavor out there for everyone?
Sure. We're going to start off with a mini legal fair, and we're going to have 6 different legal service providers there with us. Native Hawaiian Legal Corporation, Domestic Violence Action Center, Hawaii Appleseed Center for Law and Economic Justice, Mediation Center, the Pacific Volunteer Legal Services of Hawaii, and Legal Aid Society of Hawaii. Wow. This is going to be a great resource for the community because people will actually be able to talk to representatives from these organizations, and if they have specific questions, they can get some initial information. We're going to start at 6:45 with formal presentations by Chief Justice Recktenwald and Justice Simeon Akoba, and then we're going to talk about the work of the commission, and then people will have a great opportunity for question and answers with the judges and with members of the commission. You know, the briefing is an opportunity for the commission to get community input as well as share information about the work of the commission. I'm very, very excited because this is the 4th of 4 community briefings this year, and I love coming out to your community, Representative Jordan. We did our first one in urban Honolulu in my area, Makiki, followed by one on Kahului, Maui, one on Windward, Oahu, and now the Leeward Waianae Coast. Wow. So we're really trying to reach out to the community. The commission is very intent in understanding what are the needs out there. So I think it was very important that we end this year, this very first year of community briefings with your community. Yeah,
that's great. And it's a pleasure to have you guys come out to our community because I can see this as a win-win for both our community and the Justice Commission because they get great feedback from the community and the community has access. I mean, to get you know, Chief Justice Recktenwald, or, I mean, that is just like awesome. You don't get that every day.
You know, as a practicing attorney, you're absolutely right. We don't get to interact with the judges very often. So this is actually a wonderful opportunity for the judges to go out and educate the community about the importance of access to justice, and then also to receive feedback. So that we, as we proceed, you know, into the next legislative session, what are those areas of need? Are we overlooking certain, you know, we focused on housing with the foreclosure laws. We focused on funding of the legal services program.
Yes.
But what are the other areas that we need to focus on? So this is a great opportunity for the community to come out.
Yeah. So again, earlier we were talking about it only focuses on civil.
Yes.
Right. And always the question comes up, well, what do you got to pay? What do I have to do? So most of these are, there is no fees involved, right?
Yes. The legal service providers, you know, they have certain income asset levels that they look at to determine whether or not they can provide services. But there is such a wide array of legal service providers that I think people shouldn't be afraid to come forward and see if they qualify, and just even ask the simple questions.
Okay.
Also, at the self-help centers that Justice Recktenwald was talking about earlier, there is no income limitation.
Oh, wow.
If you have a question and you're at the self-help center, my understanding is that you can just go there with your question.
Wow, that's I mean, that to me is really access to justice for individuals that are seeking some kind of answers without stepping in front of a judge and going, I don't know what I'm doing. I think
now it is limited information, but at least it's the first step, as Justice Recktenwald said. It kind of, the self-help centers helps orient people who may not know anything about what's happening, you know, in their particular issues and areas.
And I think that's what's so important, is at our event we're going to have these different organizations there. So if people really want to walk up to them and say, how do I start my process, they could actually start helping them right then.
Exactly, exactly. And if they can't help there immediately, at least they can get access to phone numbers or other organizations that may be able to help. You know, Legal Aid Society of Hawaii has a huge presence on the Leeward coast.
That's correct.
But there's also, you know, the UH Elder Law Clinic is another member of the legal aid service providers community. So there's always, I think there's resources out there, and that's one of the roles of the commission, is to make sure that people know what the resources are. Of course, it's always going to be put back onto the individual to seek out those resources, but we are trying to make sure that the community is aware of those resources.
So I'm kind of hearing that the commission is more like, how do we get this out to the general public?
I think that's
and
one,
provide those opportunities.
Yes, that's one very important objective of the commission, and I think that's where I've hoped to come in as a legislator, just as you're doing with this wonderful show. You know, I think we're positioned well to be able to get the word out to our community and make sure that they are also aware of these resources.
So I see your involvement was, you kind of were appointed to represent and then
to be a voice for the legislature. You know, the commission has focused on outreach to the community, but every year there's a number of bills that may come forward that touch on access to justice. So several years ago was very, very important, and I think it was a huge accomplishment of our legislative work to be able to make sure there was sustained funding through the Indigent Legal Aid Fund.
Oh yeah, I
so
remember.
That's been a very important piece. Now, do we have more work to do? For sure.
Oh yeah, yeah, there really is. Yeah, there.
As Justice Recktenwald said, there's such unmet needs in the community. So the question is, how do we identify it? How do we make it a priority by focusing on these issues and then making people aware of it, so that we can build broader community support for these issues?
And I think, you know, in some of the other lines that I do is, you find so many individuals that run into stumbling blocks with the civil issues, that they can't get into public housing, they can't get into certain services because of those stumbling blocks. And I think this will be a great way of individuals being able to start clearing those paths to provide better opportunities for their lives. And
yes, absolutely. And I think, again, all of these legal service providers do that. I think, you know, there's that aspect of legal services that they provide in the courtroom, but really they're working in areas of law like housing, as you mentioned, consumer law, employment law sometimes. How do you deal with your elderly parents, making sure that they have the proper documents, living wills, all those kinds of things. So these are legal needs that really touch on people's lives and make an important difference in their lives.
Yeah, so I think this is like a great personal thing that we're helping the general public with. From your involvement with the Access Commission, have you seen it grow and see some changes? What were some of those things that, how they've really expanded the program?
Well, I think these self-help centers have been an important accomplishment of the Commission. I also think that there has been, legislatively, we haven't been able to fund the Veterans Treatment Court, but this commission, because it is a judicially created commission, has been able to broaden its reach in some ways and really focused through federal funding efforts. So the Veterans Treatment Court that has been recently funded for a pilot project of it by the federal government, hopefully will be able to provide more services to our veterans who are returning from war. I think that's going to be an important, another important accomplishment of the commission. And I just think even these simple community briefings has also been, I think, another step forward for the commission, because we want to make sure we get community input. So have I seen changes and good work by this commission? Certainly I have, and I think, with partnerships with people like you, with the legal service providers, I think everyone is stepping up to the plate to make sure that this issue is, as Justice Recktenwald said, there's a sustained focus on it.
Yes.
Will we solve everything in one session, in one year? No, it's always something a work in progress, but I think because we have such dedicated folks in all branches of government, we're doing a lot.
Oh. I think that's good, because you can see it expanding and how over time it's going to get better with everything. I'm like, oh wow, this is really great. I really look forward to having this meeting and bringing these different groups out there where not a lot of them already are in my community. You said as legal aid is in my community, but a lot of the other ones, they don't really get out to those rural communities or out to our neighbor islands, because they have limited resources also.
Yes.
So this is an opportunity to bring all of them to one spot, and then the community can come to that one spot and go, oh, I can use either one of these services. So I think this is going to be a great opportunity for us to help the commission, and commission definitely to help my community. I think it's going to be a great opportunity. I look forward to you joining us. I
always love coming out to the Waianae coast.
Yeah, it's really, I love my community. It's great. So I look forward to you joining us. It will be on December the 11th.
Yes.
From 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Waianae District Park.
Yes.
And again, this is all free, We're going to provide all this information. And
we'll have a little bit of light refreshments.
Yeah, light refreshments before the meeting starts to get everybody situated, since most people are coming home from a long day of work. And I think people really look forward to this. I've been promoting it, and I look forward to you joining us with Chief Justice, and it's going to be a great evening. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us on Jordan's Journal, and I look forward to seeing you all on December the 11th. Mahalo.